Hey everybody, it's Rahul from the Chaos Gym, and I just got back from Philadelphia Regionals a couple of hours ago. Got home, had some stuff to do. Here I am. Uh, this video is gonna be primarily on a more serious note about the event as a whole, um, but that doesn't mean we can't have fun. So we'll start off with me and how I did. I guess I'll start off. So I played Mega Rayquaza. I went 4-3-1 and dropped. I could have played the last round out to potentially get top 128 points, but I was um, just not in the mood to play any more games at that point. I just was having the tournament was experience as a whole had worn me down to the point where I didn't want to play anymore, and yeah, it just wasn't enjoyable. So I just wanted to drop and sit outside till everyone was done in my group. As far as the other members, none of us moved on to the second day this time. Grafton and Jose were one game off. They lost in their win and ends, finishing 6-3 each. But other than that, the rest of us kind of sucked. um, I guess before I start going into any of the negativity that happened at this regionals, to me personally and to people at the event as a whole, I should start off with some positives. Yeah. Um, Super happy my friends Crespo, Fouché, Sam, Ben Sock, um, and Noel all did really well. Crespo for winning, Sam for finally breaking his top 8 curse, all that good stuff. Great players doing great stuff. Super happy for them. Shout out to Doug Marsoli for always being there, taking good pictures, doing a fantastic job at what he does. Um, the food in Philadelphia was fantastic. There literally was not a single meal I think I regret getting, from the cheesesteaks to the novelty Naruto themed ramen location to even the McDonald's. I was happy with the McDonald's. Everything was fine for me. So shout out to the food, shout out to Doug, and shout out to my friends who did very well, and anyone who performed well this weekend. Like, this video isn't to discredit your accomplishments. Your play was your play, um, and the results are results. You had to do it, and you did it. Good job. Congratulations. But on that note, I'd like to talk about, I guess, regionals as a whole. So, as we all remember, Arizona was regarded as one of the worst that was ever held, getting a lot of online flack for the $5 registration fee, which, to Philadelphia's credit, they did make a post on their website saying that the it would be a charge at the door if you did not have it printed out. So that was in all fair. It was like a big black letter, so it was pretty clear, pretty straightforward. Um, and then Arizona had the lights going out, all that nonsense. We fast forward a couple weeks to Orlando, which was regarded as one of the best run regionals. Um, Worlds level staff. The biggest issue being that there was um, some incorrect match slips entered. Which if that's your biggest issue at regionals, you did a fantastic job. Rounds were run perfectly. We had like an hour lunch break, and we were done by like 10:30. I was like out the door at 10:30, heading to my house. Um, so I like as I say here, Arizona and Orlando, I'll put in two ends of the spectrum as the best and the worst, not respectively. Um, so we come forward to Philly, and sure they're using the same system as Arizona. It looks like with the printouts and the barcode, all that stuff. Like that's pretty, it's pretty neat. Whatever. Like you think you can handle it, you can handle it. Yeah, whatever. I'm not gonna question it. We get there, players need to go print stuff, whatever. They're all in line. Um, and obviously, even though it's like an 8 to 9 registration, you have to assume that you'll bleed over by about half an hour, 40 minutes. So if it says tournament starts at 9:30 or 10, assume a 10:30 or 10:30. Add half an hour in as a player, which is what I did in my mind. I was like, we're not going to start till about 10. Um, I was in line until about like 9:15. Got in line like 8:30. There's nothing you can do about that. It's just lines are lines. Players are making it through the line. Um, as we're getting through the line, there's a. I thought this is just comical, not like anything serious, a jab or anything. The comical thing was like there was signs everywhere saying that they do accept if you show the online email, and I was like, oh, that's neat. We didn't actually have to turn these in, and we printed them out for absolutely nothing. They looked at them and they just kind of handed us our badge. Um, it's whatever. Like, I was just pretty funny because like one of our members, Grafton, had to run back to the hotel very fast because he left it in the room. Um, but other than that, event starts. We're waiting. It's like 10:30 ish. Um, like the players meeting is done. We're waiting. We expect like once the player meeting is done, you expect the rounds to begin within the 15-20 minutes. Um, yeah, we were like an hour. It's like 35, 40 minutes. No reasoning, nothing. Everyone's just walking around waiting, saying, "Hey, what's going on?" Like TCG's juniors and seniors are in full swing. Um, the VGC players are like pretty much finishing up their tournament already because they're running very smoothly. And we're just sitting here going, "Hey, can we like get an explanation for what's going on? Can we start round one?" And then somebody posts on Verbank. I don't remember who. I don't remember if it was a judge. I don't remember if it was a player. I'm gonna assume it's a player. They posted that their software had broken down, and they had to manually re-enter every single player. And I was like, okay, cool, that's fantastic, whatever. And in consequence, they took away our lunch break. The announcement was made that our lunch break would not exist, and I was like, all right, whatever. We're losing an hour lunch break, because of this delay. Understandable. Like we still got to get the show on the road. We got to get out of here at a reasonable time. We start round one. Round one goes off pretty much without a hitch, I want to say. Um, and then there's just like an unbearable wait in between rounds every round because there was multitudes of players being dropped by the system because of the earlier error. I don't really know how the software or anything works. I just know there was multiple reports of players going to turn in their match slip as a win or a loss or whatever, and then afterwards they would go to check out their second round pairings and they were just dropped from the system, um, which is kind of absurd. Um, so round two happens, and then they tell us we have a lunch break for like 15 minutes, pretty much. The lunch break was not nearly enough time to actually get lunch, and I question why holding it anyway. If you make the call saying we don't need a lunch break, I think you stick with what you say and move onwards. Um, but there was a lunch break that was very short and didn't really leave. I went to time that round, so I had no opportunity to go get food because I believe it was like 15 minutes or 20 minutes left until I had to be back, and I was like, I can't even make it across the street to the McDonald's. I'm not going to go. Round three ends. We have our mini lunch break. Everybody's coming back pretty quickly. Um, Again, another 15-minute delay from lunch break. They take forever for pairings to go up because people are getting repaired every single round. This is where I had my personal incident where my record was input as 1-2 over 2-1, and I was pretty much not given service for a small amount of time until I pretty much stood there and held up the round to get my record fixed and to pull out the round three match slips to prove that was it my error or was it your error. If I had signed the match slip wrong, that's on me, and there's no ruling against that. That I have to take the L there, and I have to continue playing with the rest of my day. But if it was a entering error, which had happened multiple times, they were using like a scan gun and trying to do it in mass to enter the results in. And there was multiple players having issues all day with their like standings going in wrong. And as I'm standing there, I'm waiting, and they pretty much fix my record, but then they like pretty much straight tell me they refuse to repair me because they've already repaired like four times. Um, I'm pretty upset because now I have to play down. My resistance is ruined, whatever. And it's just an upsetting situation for myself as a player. They've already repaired it like 5 or 6 times, so what's the harm in literally just repairing those two tables or whatever table gets affected by this? I'll never know. That pretty much set me off for the weekend. I was in poor spirits for the duration of the weekend after that point. In regards to the event, um, I ended up hitting a bad matchup and it became a tie. So yeah, oops. Thanks, Tom. Thanks, system. Thanks, staff, for entering me in wrong. And then we had a couple more rounds go by. The wait in between rounds was pretty absurdly long, but like I already covered that because of the repairs, and there was a couple of players in front of me that like legitimately just got like they were late to the round or like they played their round and turned in a matchup and they were dropped and then like when they went back, pretty much they were told they could be re-entered, but at like an 0-3 record or like an 0-2 record, not with the record they previously held, and this resulted in a lot of players just dropping and leaving really early, and I think like that should never happen at a tournament of this stature. It should never happen at what is now the biggest regionals that has been held. You don't have the argument that you couldn't do it properly because Orlando just did it 3 weeks prior with like 20 less people in the Masters division to almost a flawless run. So I don't even want to hear that excuse. And then we get to like round seven and I think round eight. I think those are numbers. There was just two rounds where I distinctly remember that the round went over. They started the round and there was like two or three repairs that needed to be made. This was after my incident, so I was very very frustrated about this. So they did the repairs for these players and then they said we're gonna add 5 minutes to the round. Everyone keep playing, and I was like, are you serious? So we had a couple of 55-minute rounds, and there was I think a couple of rounds also that were called early on time. I always have like an alarm type thing set on my phone. I don't like to wear a watch during rounds, so I don't like to keep time. I don't like to play at time. I don't go for ties ever. So I always have an alarm thing set in my phone tracking every minute of every round. So as soon as I'm out, I can see I've got 18 minutes left. I can go to the bathroom. I can get a snack, whatever I need to do. And so legitimately, when I like they called time in one of the rounds, I pulled out my phone. I was like, "There's 5.5 minutes left. What is going on?" Um, just things like that. Like I was very confused as to things like that were happening. One other thing that frankly irked me every single time they did it. I know they had good intentions, but like, my God, what? Why would you ever, when 10 minutes have passed in the round, say 10 minutes have now passed in the round? Your opponent, if your opponent has not shown up, raise your hand. No, you should never announce any semblance of time to the players. I just like I visibly saw people slow down their pace of play. I visibly saw people use that to their advantage. Like I know 10 minutes doesn't sound like much, but if you're in a dominating position in a game one scenario of 10 minutes, you're going to make that 10-minute game that would have ended in 15, maybe 20, a 30-minute game. And leaving less than 20 minutes including shuffle and setup for game 2/3. So every time they made that announcement, I was frustrated because that announcement shouldn't have been made and it happened I think every single round. Um Now, sure, there are players who can play with time, play around it, and like they know I've got this time, I can work with it. And there are just newer players who don't understand the best of 350 minutes and how to use time to your advantage. This is really unfair to newer players. This is really unfair to experienced players. It's unfair to everyone. Everything is ending. It's getting close to like round nine is underway, and we're everyone's getting kicked out. Spectators, players, everyone. We're all getting kicked out. Um, so I had already dropped at this point, so I'm just watching it all unfold. I'm sitting outside already in like the hallway, and everyone starts getting kicked out, and we've got like 600, about 600 people, plus spectators, plus people who dropped, all crammed into a very like it's a hallway. I'll just put it that it's like a hallway in front of a ballroom. We're all crammed there, and you've got one small person with a very like very very quiet voice reading everyone from first seed to 128th seed, telling the top 32 who made it to day two to go home, not leave their decks at the event. The last event this happened at was the 63 card incident. You leave your decks at the regionals. It is the judges and organizers' responsibility to collect players' decks going into the second day of play to prevent any future cheating. That being said, that was the worst, like the least of it. The fact that they announced 33rd all the way through 128th, one time did not repeat and not post stand the pairings anywhere was absurd. And then we were all like ushered out very quickly, so a lot of people didn't have the opportunity to get their packs, didn't know if they got points, whatever. Um, that's just day one. And then day two, I show up to cheer on some of my friends. Um, and we're just watching games, and it's there was one ruling that happened to a friend of mine, Aaron Tarbell. I do not remember his opponent, but I witnessed the ruling, and legitimately, I think a handful of myself and a bunch of other players were very shocked at what happened with that ruling. Aaron Tarbell was playing Trevenant, his opponent was playing Yveltal. His opponent said Y Cyclone and went to go draw a prize when it was in a knockout with Y Cyclone, but only with Evil Ball. And Aaron had said, "Hey, you said Y Cyclone. You clearly declared an attack Y Cyclone." And the judge had ruled it. Well, the guy did not have the intent to move his energy to the bench. Therefore, we're gonna declare it as Evil Ball, and that was pretty. It's not right. You declared an attack. The rules of the game state once the attack is declared, it stands. Like I made that mistake before. Like I've said, quaking punch instead of grenade hammer. I said like heat tackle instead of vengeance. I just said like you make that mistake and you learn from that. You made it. Um, there was like slight favoritism here and there in rulings, and I don't I can't pinpoint any other incidents other than that one. But I've heard throughout the weekend there was rumblings of it. And then we like day two ran pretty okay. There's only like 32 people left, so it's like not bad. Um, Side events was going on. There were some judges that were very vocally trying to penalize players who weren't even in the event for standing next to a friend and talking to that friend while not being in the event. Um, and both players weren't in the event. It was just so weird. Um, like there's more things I can think about, but the 55-minute lunch, the 55-minute rounds, just stuff like that, just small stuff was like why did we even have a lunch break? There was like elementary rulings that would take forever for. Like next to me, someone had used deck and cover, and then his opponent played Pokemon Ranger, and the judge took like 15 minutes to decipher that deck and cover doesn't like Ranger does not stop deck and cover. I was very tempted to just look over and say, "Hey, just play the game. That does not how it works." But as a player, I'm not allowed to do that. So if, as a player, I can make those rulings better than judges that are taking 15 minutes. Why do we need these judges? Like, I don't mean to be disrespectful for the people who staff this event and people who work there. I have a lot of familiar faces in there, and I have people who I respect greatly. But come on, you had a very The only difference between what happened in Arizona and what happened here is there was no stream and the lights stayed on. I wasn't at Arizona, but players who were at both were saying it's marginally better. And like you've got a bar set all the way here, and then you've got a bar set all the way here. What do you want to be as an organizer? Do you want your regionals to be remembered as the one that was most well-known run of all time? Do you want to be the one that was remembered the 63 card regionals, the Denny's regionals, the one where the lights went out, or this one where you were ushered into a hall and told the 55-minute round regionals, the one where you're ushered into a hall and told you're standing without being able to verify it, being able to verify your match records or your match anything. So it's just and then like as like a small sidebar, the um vendors were like way too expensive past anything I've ever seen. There was like these vendors were the more unreasonable ones I've seen in a very long time. Like they were very expensive. So players who had unfortunately had to buy their sleeves or goods there, I feel pretty bad for them. But like it's just a side tidbit. Other than that, I was pretty upset at the way the event was run as a whole. Now I'm just a player and I can't tell judges how to do their job. I will be filing a support ticket from my end. Um, I want to make sure events like this don't run like this ever again. when you have a 600 plus person tournament, I understand that there's going to be hitches and everything can't run flawlessly, can't run smoothly. But I also, as a player, I can have hold a certain standard to the events that I attend. Now, in future times, will I come back to Philadelphia regionals? Probably not after this experience. Like I will not voluntarily come back. This event as a whole was a disaster. Um, and frankly, there needs to be something done. Christopher Szymanski posted a poll, which I assume is going to lead in Burbank City Gym, which is detailing some of the issues that had occurred over the weekend, detailing what players look for in events. And I hope Pokemon takes a look at this. I hope Pokemon, um, or TPCI as a whole, listen to what we're saying as players, because giving having regionals run the same exact way when there was 100 and like 300 people, like 7 round best of one Swiss rounds, like 6 years ago, and it being run the same way now when there's 600 people in one division, and the numbers have like quadrupled over time, and the same issues have not changed, means there needs to be something done. There needs to be a straight standard for how these things are run, and there needs to be some guidelines that everyone has to follow to ensure that we are held to a certain standard. Like, just things need to change, and things need to change for the better. Um, that being said, two of our three regionals were awful. One was fantastic so far. Next up is Fort Wayne. So there's going to be a heavy eye on Fort Wayne, I believe. Probably. I'm going to look at it very critically to see if any of these complaints, anything is heard to the TOs. Because from my reasonable understanding, the complaints of Arizona were heard and implemented in Orlando to make one of the most enjoyable player regionals. I literally wanted to keep playing Pokemon all day. And that's not only because I was performing well, but because everything was running so smoothly. I had my energy, I had everything to go. Like, I'm sorry you guys are listening to me rant for however long I've been doing this, but I was just very upset as a whole this weekend. Anyone who interacted with me this weekend um, can tell you that this was something that I don't get upset very easily, and this is something that just it rattled me. It took me off guard. It made the entire event experience negative as a whole. On top of those things, everyone I hung out with this weekend, it was fantastic. Other than the event, like I said on my Facebook, other than the event, everything else was fantastic this weekend. Good friends, good company, good food. Um, like just everyone hung out the Medic crew, someone's PC crew, a Super Rod cast, Azul's crew, like everyone. Like thank you guys so much for hanging out. We had a good time. Um, I wanted to see Doctor Strange. I didn't. That pretty much sums everything up. I didn't mean to rant this entire time. I was going to talk about my tournament report and everything else on top of that, but I guess I can do a separate video with that later when I do a deck profile or something. Because this is getting pretty long already, and I've been pretty negative this whole video. So it's just me ranting, and I just wanted to express my discontent at what happened this weekend, and my thoughts and actions are in no way influenced by anyone else. I'm just gonna say that straight up because I don't want people saying you're doing this because of this person or X person or because of this. No, it's literally I've been repeating the same things all weekend because I was livid with rage. I had to take a step outside of the convention center to get a breath of fresh air because I was so upset at what had happened. Um, and this event has pretty much turned me off of going back to this area ever again. And I don't think that's what Pokemon ever intends to do. In the end of the day, Pokemon's a business, and good tournaments and good promotion bring players back over and over. There has to be money coming in from somewhere. We have to be held to a higher standard. And that's pretty much, I guess, the punchline of this video. And I know I went on a couple tangents here and there, but thank you guys for watching. Comment if you had any bad experiences, good experiences, whatever. I want to hear them all. I read everything. Um, Let me know what you would do, what you would change, what you could implement, what you would want to see implemented in the comments below. Um, just stuff like that. This video is supposed to be us voicing our concerns and seeing if any action will be taken. So thank you so much for watching, and yeah, please leave a comment.